Welcome to Post in Black. My name is David Hunter Jr. Okay, all right. It's just some shit. Yeah, all right. Welcome to Post in Black. My name is David Hunter Jr. And on today's episode, we are so happy to have Brother H.R. Cole. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man.
Oh, man, so good to have you. We're doing great, man. Now, before we get started, we always like to start our guest off with a little icebreaker. Okay. How you feeling about that? That's okay?
All right, depends on what this icebreaker
Okay,
is.
all right. It's just some shit. Yeah. All right. What do you think about this? Audiobooks or podcasts? Which one you?
To be honest with you, I would probably say podcast.
Podcast?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, that's good. That's good. I'm a podcast man myself. Right. Now, if you're doing a podcast, is there anything that you're listening to at the moment, or is there something that you've listened to that you really want to put people onto?
Actually, it'd probably be something that it's connected to me. Actually,
okay.
You know, it's on our whole network, which we're going to get into, called KGP Presents. It's one of the TV shows that are on our network.
Okay.
We actually have a podcast with the same show going out there, and that radio station has put a lot of people on that people have heard of now. Okay. But before they were.
So say the name again.
KGUP Presents.
KGUP Presents.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
hosted
what is
by Chris
on
Cunio
this?
and executive producer Mikey J. Well, one of the very first radio stations I was syndicated on when I was doing my radio show, which is when I started this whole industry.
Yeah.
Here was doing radio, indie radio, KGP, and shout out to Mikey J. They allowed me to syndicate my show on their network. Okay. And KGP has been around since 2012. I started in 2011. Okay. And they've premiered artists like Bruno, right. Ed Sheeran, Meghan Trainor, Lana Del Rey, and lots of other up and coming indie bands where they're pop rock, and all that. And they have an ear for talent. Okay. Definitely Mikey J and lots of people who work there have an ear for talent. So with that, being connected to them for these past, almost a decade. Yeah. You know, I've just seen all the growth from them and who they've put out there. And now look at some of those names I'm listed. They are out there.
They are out there.
I mean, really. I know what you say.
Oh, yeah. We out here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So definitely that would be the podcast / TV show I would put out there for people to get a chance. Okay. KGP Presents on KGP FM 106.5. You know, gotta give love to Mikey J.
And when people are watching this podcast and watching this, they're going to be able to see that link right underneath here. We're going to have that all for you. Right, so, you know, it's going to be right there. So you got kind of jump right into it. We here on Post in Black, we're here highlighting people that work in post-production, work in the industry, doing all type of things. We focus on editing, but you do a variety of things. So tell the people a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this whole industry.
Well, like I said, I started this back in 2011. I was working at a job that I was at for almost 5 years. Just a regular 9 to 5. I was a warehouse manager and a shipping manager. And I got let go. I got let go almost 6 months to the day from my 30th birthday. Wow. So when I did that, when I got let go, I said, you know what? I'm turning 30 in 6 months at this time. I need to go after my dream job. Yeah. And since I was age 4, I've always wanted to be a game show host. Okay. You know, it sounds silly.
No, that's something unique you don't really hear a lot about. You're a game show host, but that's intentional.
Seriously.
That's intentional.
Since age 4, it's just something about the lights, the bright colors, and, you know, as a kid, that's always that attracts us. But there was something in terms of just the joy that I always saw.
I was about to say that there's something about bringing joy to other people. Like a game show host, it's not really about you. It's about the people. It's about what you're doing. And that says a lot about you.
And that's one thing I have a big thing in terms of as a host. Okay. When hosts try to put themselves first as opposed to them being about their guests. Right. You know, and it's one thing if the show's named after you, that's fine. Right. You know, it's like Carol Burnett show. That's a variety type of comedy show and all this. But if you're doing a talk show, if you're doing a game show, if you're doing even presenting at an award show, something like that, it shouldn't be about the host. It's supposed to be about the guests and everybody else out there and providing all the information to people at home. So when I watched that, growing up, I didn't see too much representation of myself.
I mean, that's why we call Post in Black. Right. You know, we're trying to really highlight something that's not really talked about a lot.
Exactly. You know, so when I saw that, though, I just saw people like Bob Barker, Monty Hall, Wayne Martindale, and just the way they held their presence and the way that when they talk to the contestants, where it's a serious show, where it's a lighthearted show, everybody had fun. Yeah. All the time. Right. You know, so that always attracted to me. It was attracted to me. And even coming home from after school, you watch our after school cartoons and whatnot, but I'm turning on USA Network. I'm watching all those old game shows and everything back in the day.
So interesting.
So it's always been ingrained in me. So when I said, you know what, it's time to go after my dream job.
Okay.
I decided to start trying to make my way into the industry somehow, and I got my way in doing indie radio.
Indie radio. Okay, so now when you're working in indie radio, are you what type of like format are you doing? Are you booking the shows that you're doing? Are you hosting? You're editing? Are you doing things behind the scenes? Like, you have your hands in everything?
Actually, it was everything.
Okay.
When I got into this industry, I went and did formal training to learn how to produce a radio
And what'd you
show.
do training at?
It was at a station that's no longer around called American Radio Networks.
Okay.
You kind of like pay your way in to kind of produce your own show.
Right.
And everything. And then after that, you just kind of they teach you little bits about the business, but you just go out and try to find your sponsors and your own guests and everything.
Okay.
So within 8 weeks, I learned how to produce my own show and started putting things out there. And
8 weeks.
Yeah.
You hit that easy button. You were like, this ain't nothing. Y'all working with a professional right now.
It wasn't that easy though.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't that easy because I can definitely say if I go back and listen to lots of my old recordings, you can hear lots of mistakes that, now being in this thing for almost a decade, I can definitely go back and say like, I was really green here. I need to make sure I turn up the audio a little bit more here, turn down the music here, make sure that my mics are all
What were you doing in particular to try to find out how to learn these things? Because was it intimidating? You're starting right around 30. Some people have been in this game, in this industry right from the jump. They've come into the industry with a knowledge. Maybe they had family into it. Maybe they were taught something differently, and they're going to certain schools that have certain specific training for this, for editing, for putting their projects together, for building a company, for building a demo reel, for editing a reel. What was it like for you trying to get into that and trying to compete in that field? Because this is a competitive field. This ain't for weak people, man.
It's extremely competitive.
Yes, sir.
But I would say that when I was at that station, they literally did give you hands-on feedback in terms of how you were doing. So you got other radio hosts and other radio producers teaching the new guy.
Sort of like a mentor.
In a sense.
Okay.
So I had one person who was helping me, who was my trainer, my mentor, going through those 8 weeks. And he said, you were good within 4 weeks, but I decided to stay the full length of the 8 weeks because I wanted to make sure I got as much of knowledge as much as I could before going on my own and doing it. So I definitely went through all the doldrums in terms of, this is a bad recording. I'm over here having a guest who's performing live and all of a sudden everything shuts down. Or I'm going over my time, or I'm too far under my time. So I literally went through all those. The learning
process. Exactly. Yeah, the learning curves. Was there anybody in particular that you were able to reach out to that was like a mentor that maybe you still keep in touch with today, or kind of guided you and say, you know what, if you ever have any questions, email me? Because we always hear about sometimes the journey can be a solo journey.
Right.
It's not really something where we always have somebody helping us out, or really, it's not a clear cut. What works for you may not work for me.
That's very true.
So was there somebody that kind of helped you, gave you some lessons about what they experienced and what to stay away from?
There is most definitely somebody.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be on the radio side. It's actually when I started trying to transition into being in front of the camera.
Okay.
Because radio was just my way in to try to start hosting. But if I was trying to be a game show host, you can't do a game show on the radio.
And that's a good note for everybody out there that's watching. He was looking for a way in. Sometimes we're trying to go to the back end of what we're dreaming for, what we're going for. But sometimes you just need to get in the room.
Right.
And once you get in the room, then you can facilitate how you need. But getting in the room is half the battle.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would definitely say when I started doing on-camera training, it was with a program called Break Into TV. On-air performance training.
Okay.
And this was headed and created by Jonathan Novak, who, for people who are in LA, Jonathan Novak is a weatherman for ABC television out here.
Yeah.
And he trained me. He trained lots of other hosts who are still up and coming. Some people that you probably might see on like CNN and different sports shows and stuff like that, and weather. He is from Boston, made his way through Florida, through Texas, and then came out here to LA.
He went around, yeah.
So he went around. So he started his program literally about 1 month before I got started my radio show.
Wow.
So when I did the transition, it was about a year after I was doing radio that I decided, let me go ahead and try and get in front of the camera. And met up with him, did a free training for the weekend, but I couldn't afford the class.
Man, message.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a lot of people.
I told him I will be back. But many people hear that.
Yeah.
They hear that, I'm going to come back, and they don't ever show up again. So it was about a month and a half, 2 months later that I showed back up. And I actually he had a deal on Amazon, those Amazon discounts. So told him, I found you on Amazon, told you I'll be back, came through, took his class for the month, paid for that. And then afterwards, we just started talking business, and I wound up saying, hey, you know what? I got my radio show. If you come on and do a commercial, a couple commercials with me, I'll play the commercials every week. If you let me get a chance to kind of sit in on the class. Yeah. From then, our relationship just kind of blossomed at that time to the point where I became his TA, so to speak, and and managing partner, not managing partner, but managing all the new people coming in.
And you were able to learn from him and really grasp. Now something that struck me, and we touched on this when I asked you about your little bit of intro. Mm-hmm. You are from LA. You're from California.
I am one of those people. Apparently, I'm a rarity. I'm born and raised in LA. I mean, LA proper.
There it is.
My high school is LA High, Los Angeles High School.
Oh man, right off of Olympic.
Off of Olympic, yes, sir. And Rimpaw. I am a band geek from that era, from that school.
Angelino, right here. Man. So even for you, working in the industry now, it's got to be something where it's got to be a joy, because so many people. I mean, I love Los Angeles. Right. I've been here for a long time. I'm not from here. Right. I love where I'm from too, but I love LA, but I'm not from here. But you see all these people come to your city trying to go after a career that it seems to just slip through so many people's hands. And you're people don't understand. You could be so close and so far. We can drive by Warner Brothers every day.
You would never know.
Up on Paramount, and we can't go in. Yeah. That's how close you can be to your dream and to what you want, but you can't really have it. So it has to mean a lot to you to actually be here now, have your own company. And I want you to tell us a little bit more about that and how you got started with and what you kind of do right now, because we want to really touch on that aspect.
Well, just like you said, you can live out here. I've seen where every single television station and movie company has been. There were lots that were actually in LA on Hollywood, and they've all moved to satellite places all around the city that are just outside of LA and outside of Hollywood. Like CBS used to be right on Sunset. Yeah. And right across the street from KTLA, about a few blocks away, but they moved to Studio City. KTLA is the only one that's actually still in. They're the first ones in LA, actually.
That's why they're probably still trying to stay.
Exactly. Yeah. But the day I did my first live broadcast, August 20th, 2011.
You still remember?
Yes, I remember to the day. The day I did my first live broadcast was the day I started my company.
Yes, sir. And tell the people the company again.
The company is called inDspotlight Productions. IN SPOTLIGHT.
And that'll be right there again. Yeah, right there.
inDspotlight Productions, and it's blossomed into starting off as inDspotlight Radio, because my show when I was doing radio was called HR's inDspotlight Radio Show. Then it became inDspotlight Radio, and then it became the inDspotlight Countdown, our weekly top 20. Okay. So it just morphed and grew over those 2 years I was doing that show. And when I did that first broadcast, I made a point and said, you know what, I'm going to stick in this realm and find this niche in the world of indie. And so when I went and started going in front of the camera, doing television, I basically just said, you know what, let me just kind of stay with this whole route, because I'm living my dream right now, in a sense, being a host. But there's so many people that I know who are trying to break out and get into music, get into television, get into film. So let me spotlight the world of the independent filmmaker, the independent artist, the independent actor who's trying to make their way in.
I want to touch on that, man, because that sounds like there's a lot of work involved. And, obviously people see the glory with you having your own company and seeing it, but they don't see, until things really get moving, you are the gaffer, you are the grip, you are the editor, you are the writer, you are everything. How was that? Was it stressful? I mean, financially?
Financially?
What were we can end the show right there.
Oh, yeah. It was done financially. It was over.
I mean, because there's got to be a lot of stress involved with you have a passion for something. It's like, I was talking to somebody the other day. It's like, man, we want this. All right, we got it. But now we have to keep it sustained. We have to do some things. And that's really, really crazy.
When I started doing camera work, trying to be on camera, I had to teach myself. I didn't go to school. The only formal training I have was producing a radio show, and then my on-camera training with Jonathan over at Breaking TV. Right. Outside of that, everything in this industry was all self-taught. I taught myself camera, I taught myself editing, taught myself lighting, taught myself gaffing, taught myself booking.
Where were you finding these ways to teach yourself? Because we want to show people these resources. Maybe is there YouTube? Anything were you looking at?
No. In the beginning, no YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't using YouTube to teach me anything in the beginning for certain things because it was more of just getting hands-on.
Okay.
You know, getting a camera, getting the equipment, getting lights, getting microphones, getting all these different type of things, and trying to figure out, okay, what's the most cost-efficient way for me to do that on a budget? You know, and camera work, I was just tinkering around, but then from the people that I would meet, the people I would interview, people who I would talk to, you know, I would start working with them.
Okay.
You know, and try and get some information.
Some hands-on experience.
Definitely hands-on.
That free experience, you know, when you're a PA.
Oh yeah.
You know, you ever done a PA work?
I PA'd, I've gaffed.
Yes.
Like for so many different
Those are free classes.
Oh yeah.
That you can learn. You could be sitting up there like, man, I'm on set for 12 hours, but that could also be a time where you're like, oh, what are you doing with that? Oh, okay, what's that chord right there?
I gotta give a shout out to a young lady, a director who is prolific in what she's doing right now. And her name is Amy Campione.
Amy Campione.
She was actually the first director of my show, Indie Films Monthly. You know, and she taught me a whole lot when she was still learning how to do some of those things too.
Really?
You know, and she was so open and welcoming to, you know, bring me in to say like, you know what, I was one of her very first interviews for her first music video that she did. She was my very first live interview for a music video that I was helping to premiere.
Wow.
You know, so we had always had a good relationship. You know, and she was always willing to just give me any really little bits of knowledge. Okay. And with that, I was just taking on gig after gig after gig after gig, relationship after relationship after relationship, and just building upon it.
You built upon it,
know,
right?
As much as I could.
And now with your company, you've been doing the interviews primarily for Holly Shorts, film festival, which they're so great. Everybody that's associated with that.
Gotta give a shout out to Theo Dumont, Daniel Soul, Nicole Castro, all of those.
That's where we actually met. Yeah. We met on that beautiful festival that's done every single year.
Since then, man, I've been just like all about supporting everything that you guys have been doing.
Oh no, man. So it's the feeling's mutual, and that, you know, that's why we're glad to have you. But we're talking about you having a company. Now the company's running. Now it's moving. What's the mindset of going from creating a show to filming it and doing it and then going into the post and putting everything together, editing? What are the stages that you go through? Because there's different mindsets that you have to have for each one.
There definitely
and is. There a program that you use specifically that you go to that helps to get it done faster? Or is it, what does it work for you?
Well, before I answer that, I want to kind of touch back to the question that you asked in terms of the sustainability and everything. I mean, it definitely is something that you have to be dedicated to do from the get-go. But it does take a toll on relationships, whether it's a intimate relationship, whether it's a relationship with friends. You know, I have lost a relationship as a result of all this. But in terms, after going through all that, I knew what I wanted to do. Yes, sir. And the type of person I wanted to be around and be with. And from that, I gained an even better relationship. Okay. You know,
this feels like a moment we're about to give a shout out to somebody special.
Give a shout.
This feels like a moment we're about to give a shout out to somebody.
She was working with us, learning how to do everything, and went from not knowing a single thing by her own admission to knowing camera, knowing video, knowing editing, knowing lighting, knowing sound, and now she's our director for Indie Films Monthly. So I gotta give a shout out to Miss Carmen Rocio Carrera.
Hey,
you know, she's also not only she's a director, producer, but she's also my girlfriend, and you know. Hey. So I gotta give a shout out to that.
I'm not mad at you, brother. You know what?
To death.
You might have done this before. That was clean. That was clean, brother. That was clean. I love that. I love that. But yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it sounds like things picked up from there.
No, things have picked up, you know, but there were definitely some hills and valleys that I had to go through. But when it came back to trying to put everything together. And taking all the knowledge that I've gained over time and whatever I passed on or whatever I've taken on from people, I started trying to find cost-efficient programs because everybody has all this money they can invest in, but I didn't have that money.
Yeah, not everybody has that. We're trying to right now. We're talking to people that are getting $1 million budgets to people who are like, man, I can't wait till my check comes next week. How do you facilitate? What's some tips that you had?
I basically would see the programs that people were using, and then I just tried to find, okay, what's another program that's similar to a degree? Okay. So I could learn. And everybody at the time was using Final Cut because everybody was on Apple at the time, before Adobe became as big as it is. Yeah. I wanted to be using a program called Magix.
Magix, okay.
It's Magix, and not to give a shout out, not to like promote them, but that's the program I learned to edit on.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of a European-based company program.
Okay.
But from that, I was able to just kind of take bits and pieces in terms of knowing how to upload, how to cut, how to fade, how to use transitions, how to get color correction, how to do lighting and all that.
Yeah.
And eventually I did transition over to Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
You know, but I'm not, you know, don't do that. Don't put things out there, but there are free versions that you can find.
Yeah.
You know,
we're not encouraging, but we're just encouraging to be, I would say, be diligent in your search. You know, my mom used to tell me, if you look in the fridge, you know, don't just close it and say you didn't find it. Move some stuff out the way. So that's what we're telling you. Move some stuff out the way on the internet. You might find something. You might find something.
But the thing is, working with the Magix program. Okay. I was able, when I got over to Adobe, I just realized it's virtually the same thing. It's just knowing where all of their particulars are. Okay. You know, but some programs are a little bit more high end than others. Right. You know, so with that, I did a couple of years using Magix, and then I was going about four years using Adobe, trying to figure that out. But in between, I've had shutdowns on computers, crashes.
I was just about to dive into this. I was going to say, now we're going to hear about the success story, but are there any horror stories that you've had?
I got too many.
Too many. Well, share one with the people, because I'm sure there's somebody out there that can relate to.
Because when we do this, it's going to be like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, all the different sequels.
We're going to start a GoFundMe just to build back what we lost.
I'm saying, like, even up to recently.
Yeah.
Even up to recently. I mean, I'll say the most recent horror story is my computer crashed. My home computer crashed and my hard drive. So I've lost 2 years worth of footage that I can't get back. Man. You know, so I got people who are hitting me up for interviews that I really can't do anything in terms of putting the interview out because it's lost.
Because it's lost.
It's lost. And so I have to take the loss. I have to take the loss not only for putting footage out there and have something on my show, but I gotta take the loss as a hit to my reputation. Right. As if, okay, this man's not doing his job or doesn't know what he's doing. Right. There's really nothing else. People don't like to hear excuses. Right. They're more like, oh, you can't do this? Okay, move on.
I think, man, what you just said right there is something that people don't understand in Hollywood. You have to, sometimes we're so in a hurry to get to where we want to be, and you don't understand that really sometimes it's good to be late to the party. Because if you get the opportunity too early and you are not ready, they're not going to say, oh, he wasn't ready that time, let's give him a chance this time. Yeah. They're going to say, oh no, that's the guy that wasn't ready. You're not going to get a call again. It's very rare. And so what you just hit on is so true. So your reputation, and your reputation is good. So I do believe that for the most part, people can see that and they're like, they're hurt, but it stands out.
That's why you should say that, because to be honest with you, I don't know what my reputation is in this side of the industry, because I don't really go out and socialize too much with, I don't go to parties, I don't go to red carpet events. Most times if I'm going out to something, I'm working.
You're working.
I'm working. I'm there with the camera, with my mic, with my director, and we're trying out there to just get our content so we can go back home and start editing it. Yeah. But for a minute, I stopped going and doing events. Okay. And not just to be a guest, but just to be out there hitting the streets and pounding the pavement and recording, because I got too many people at the time early on in my career who were pigeonholing me as a camera guy. Right. As a photographer. Because I'm there doing all my own videography doing all my own photography for my own content. I didn't have a team under me.
But when you're a leader, you have to do the work first. Leadership involves a lot of work. And then when you're a good leader, you'll eventually work yourself out of a job. Yeah. You don't have to, you shouldn't have to be handing out the call sheets, making sure they got the people. Right now you're doing it because you're invested, it's 100%, but and eventually you're going to work and you're going to have different tasks which you're going to be needed for.
Most definitely.
So we're going to tie into this. You're right now. Where do you see yourself? Where are you trying to get to down the road for your company, for yourself personally, with the filmmaking, for editing, for things that just aspirations that you have on a future?
Right now, the major goal is always game shows. That's point blank the whole reason why I wanted to do this. So I still want to host and produce game shows. Yes, sir. And when I say host, is of course I want to be a game show host, but produce is because I've already created 5 game shows in my head. 3 of them which I've already registered.
Yes, sir.
Just ready to go.
You ready?
And I'm ready. Like, I have the concepts. I have the moves. I have your party games. I have your college party young people's game show. I have your intense big money game show. I have your kids game shows. I have all these different types of deals I want to do, and it doesn't have to be me hosting them all. There are people who I've seen like on YouTube who have their channels where I'm like, I could see that person hosting this show. I could see this person doing this. Yeah. Like, so I go back and forth now between being a host minded and producer minded. Okay. You know, so I battle back and forth. Now, since we have our indie TV channel, you know, on the Universe Network, channel 140. Now that we have that out there, it's now giving me an opportunity to have a home to put all of this different type of content. Yes, sir. You know, so I still go back, we'll film everything, and I'll go home, and Carmen and I will sit down together and try to figure out how can we edit this, how can we get this look, how can we get that look. Okay. You know, and figure out what's the next step. But to be honest with you, the goal is now eventually to be producing not only the 4 shows that we have now, yes, sir. Which I know we'll talk about that in a little bit, but is to produce game shows, host and produce game shows. Okay. Like, I think that's what eventually I would always want to end up doing, because it's just been something that's been on your heart. Yeah. Yeah, it's there.
And you've been doing everything. You're multi-talented. You know, your mindset is very, very futuristic. So you're not just like thinking in the moment. You're thinking about down the road. Just your eye for looking at, you know, people who could be a potential fit for your show. That's a visionary. Tell us again where we can find you, man. Where can people find you? Social media. Anything that you got going on, please let the people know. All right. We're going to get this coming up.
Well, there's going to be a lot of social media platforms that we got. Well, all right. So I would say everything in terms of everything indie TV, indie Spotlight television, you can find us at indie Spotlight. Follow our FIT, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's our FIT, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at indie Spotlight, INDSpotlight. We're on, you can find me personally at Mr. HR Cole everywhere except for Snapchat. I'm not doing Snapchat right now. Like that. But we all right. Mr. HR Cole at Indie Spotlight. And then we got our 4 shows that we have on the air. We have our flagship, which is going into our 5th season with great, shout out to Holly Shorts. Indie Films Monthly, IN Films Monthly. If you notice, the branding is indie, IN. Let them know. You know, the reason why we did that is because everybody out there in their mama has an indie Spotlight somewhere. But that is a copyrighted name owned by a company that at any point in time, they can stop people from doing that. So I went branding wise. Yes, so IN Spotlight, all one word. Do not space them out, because you will be finding other people if you do that. You know, but in our website, inDspotlight.net. But we have Indie Films Monthly going to its 5th season. We, right now, the very first season of KGP Presents. Okay, yeah. It's their very first TV show. Yeah. And they've been on the air for so many years. On radio, that's on Indie TV. We have a new travel show from my co-host on Indie Films Monthly, Gio. Okay, Gio. You got a chance to talk with her before too. Gio Reveals, which is going to be coming out, and hopefully sometime it's the late part of this year, if it's not the start of next year. And then I keep on saying this when I mention this show. This is my old radio show, but I'm bringing it back to television. And I always say, we're bringing music back to television, everybody, with the Indie Spotlight Countdown, weekly top 10 music videos, which you guys can also find on Indie TV via the Universe Network, channel 140, and that can be found on Roku, Android, iPhone, or go to universenetwork.tv, and all that information is going to be there. All right. Well, you heard it here. So much wisdom shared today. Thank you for tuning into this Posting Black TED Talk with the one and only HR, dropping gems out here. Thank you for tuning in to Posting Black. You can catch us on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. A special shout out to our host today, Brother HR Cole, LTE Vision Studio, and everyone that's tuning in watching. Until next time, don't forget to tip your bartenders, feed your actors, and shout out your post crew. Peace.